of the country, but it doesn't necessarily lessen.
Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you for joining me for another amazing session of the Daily African Proverbs, live and direct here on Clubhouse. And we are also live on YouTube for the first time, actually. So if you go to Simon Javan Okello at YouTube, you'll be able to find this exact conversation going on there right now. We've been doing this room since January. And today is the second day since we changed the time of our conversation from 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 4 p.m. East African Time, is the new time for the Daily African Proverbs. We've been doing this diligently since January, and today we have an amazing proverb from Ethiopia. Our proverb today comes all the way from Ethiopia, and it says, "Coffee and love taste best when hot." I'll say it one more time. And this proverb is actually also my latest Instagram post, so you can engage with this proverb on my Instagram, which is at Okello Javan, at Okello Javan. That way you can comment over there, and after today's show we will be able to engage with you over there. And after today's show at 7:15, at the latest 7:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Kikombe and myself will go live on Instagram to do a recap of today's conversation. We will talk about three things: what stood out, we will talk about what was surprising, and we will also talk about what was the biggest lesson that we took from the conversation today. I'll repeat the proverb one more time. Coffee and love taste best when hot. Every day when we come here in the Daily African Proverbs room on Clubhouse, this is now a show, just the way we've been cultivating this place and building it up since January. I just call this a legitimate global African show that brings African proverbs every single day to our people worldwide. If you look at this room, we are very, very few people, but we are from all over the continent, and we are in different corners of the world. If you look at the stage, I'm from Kisumu, Kenya, but I live in Seattle, Washington. The Kikombe is also from Kisumu, Kenya, but he lives in Bangkok, Thailand, I believe. I think it's a different city in Thailand, but he's somewhere. And then Bib is also somewhere. So all of us are somewhere, but our main interest here in this room is African culture, African proverbs. And I believe that every time we are here in the African Father in America Club on Clubhouse, we are making our ancestors smile, because we are discussing proverbs, which is something that even my mom used in raising me as a man. My grandparents used it. I see politicians using proverbs, comedians using proverbs. So for me, I just feel that it's important that we embrace them. Coffee and love taste best when hot. this one was the most straightforward proverbs I've ever come across since we started this room. The last few days we've been discussing proverbs that have been so deep, that have required a lot of thinking, that have triggered people in different ways. But this one, I'm actually drinking coffee right now, and if you drink a cold cup of coffee, you don't feel it unless it's one of those cups of coffee that has a lot of additives and things that have been added to make it taste really good. Or a cold drink with some coffee element in it, that would taste okay when not hot. But when you have your coffee in the right temperature with the right amount of whatever kind of milk you like in it, it's just perfect. You can't compare anything with that. But then love also, when everything is perfect, when nothing is forced, when everything warms up to the moment of whatever the hotness of love means to you. I think it's just insane. Everything works out perfectly. So that's my interpretation for today's proverb. I'm so curious to see what you all have to share with us in regards to your interpretation for today's proverb. And normally, the way we run this show here on Clubhouse is that we bring in someone, whether it's a moderator, they share their interpretation. And our moderators are really friends and family and leaders that we do many things with besides running this daily African Proverbs room. So they are like the leaders of this space, and they will introduce our guests and then pass the mic back to me, and I will introduce the next moderator, and then we will continue learning from each other like that. Our goal is that by the end of this room, we've gained some African wisdom to take away with us. I want to introduce my brother, the Kikombe. Siaji Otieno is his real name, and the Kikombe is really a brother, a man with a big heart. He helped us with curating Africa Day here on Clubhouse in May this year, and he's a photographer, he's an educator, and also he is a father, and really he's been helping me lately co-host the recap of the Daily African Proverbs on Instagram, and it's been truly amazing, and I appreciate you so much, the Kikombe. And the Kikombe says, in a world where you can be superhuman, smile at the people around you. Love is the power you bestow upon people. Share with us, my brother.
Brother Simon, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. That's really kind of you. This proverb I'm struggling with, and I'm going to try my best to give my interpretation before, without underlooking what our ancestors probably meant. Sorry, my little one is here for a minute. Okay. Night night.
Night night.
Lala salama.
Lala salama.
Penda.
Nakapenda sana.
Sorry, guys. As I was saying earlier, this probably I know Simon says it's straightforward. I tried to be a non-overthinker on this and tried to look beyond what the proverb says. I liken this proverb to the idea that you strike the iron when it's hot. In Swahili, we even have another proverb that says Swahili mkunje, samaki mkunje angali mbichi, meaning you can bend the fish when it's still raw. But before I give my my interpretation for this proverb, I just want to appreciate everybody in the room. I'd like to appreciate everyone who's made a point of coming in and sharing in here. I'd like to appreciate our brother Simon for curating this whole experience that we've had for several months or so, close to a year now. You know, being here for 6 or so months every single day, plus or minus a few, at 7 a.m., 6 a.m. Pacific time. Previously, it was 7 a.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Southeast Asia Bangkok time, and 4 p.m. East African time. It's not easy. It's not something that many people can do. It's very few people that can do that. Now, even when you walk around, even when you walk around the hallways of Clubhouse, you will find few rooms that are safe spaces for anybody, regardless of their nationality, their life preference, their age, their gender, their language, henceforth, their accent, anything. And I'm really, really grateful for that, because in this room, everybody's opinion is listened to. If there's any room that shouts and thumps chest for diversity and and being mindful, then I think Daily African Proverbs is one of them. So thank you very much for everybody in here. If you're new here, as Brother Simon had mentioned earlier, you will notice that sometimes after somebody has shared on stage, they moved back to the audience. Please, don't take it in a bad way. It's often done in a positive, with positive intent, so that there is space for others to share, and also that the audience is not the stage is not crowded. And at this point, please allow me to introduce Marcy Hopkins. Marcy Hopkins joined Clubhouse a while back. And Marcy Hopkins says, Marcy Hopkins is a crafter, is a student volunteer librarian, passing familiar with some technologies. Some of her current projects include scrapbooking, stamping, crochet, beading, and so on. And currently studying on Clubhouse, clubbing Pasha, Tanya, Psalms. Some of her interests include food, travel, and so on. It's a long list. Marcy, I apologize if I mentioned and I pronounced your name wrong, but please tell us your interpretation for today's proverb that says, coffee and love taste best when hot. If you're not sure about today's proverb, it is my profile picture on Clubhouse at the moment. Marcy, the stage is yours.
Thank you. That was a very impressive introduction. I understand the proverb, I think, but I'm not sure I agree with it, only because, maybe because I'm not a coffee drinker, but mostly because I feel like love needs to be appreciated at all temperatures, that a passionate, hot love is not necessarily the only love or even the best love, and that to be truly valued, love needs to be appreciated no matter what level you come into it at, no matter what level of heat you enter in. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Marcy. I appreciate your contribution, and thank you very much for reminding us that love should be appreciated at all times. I side with you on that. I side with you absolutely. Thank you very much for sharing. At this point, please allow me to introduce Jacob Oyugi. But Jacob says, allow me to reintroduce myself. This is the guy with the lens. Is a father to my godly generation, And he says Jesus is a friend of his. He's a Kenyan, he's a creative, and he's an media entrepreneur. He's a CEO of Ayo Films and holds several titles to his head as well. Jacob, please tell us your interpretation for today's proverb. Coffee and love taste best when hot.
Um, Thank you so much, the Kikombe, for that amazing introduction. And this is a proverb that I can easily relate to because I come from a country whereby coffee is everything. Coffee brings us together. I hope you can hear me well. Coffee brings us together, and when guys meet, the first thing we always think of is coffee. To begin with, it goes without saying that when I'd relate this proverb to it's a love kind of a proverb, and coffee tastes it's related to friendship. It's related to family. It's related to relationships. That is what brings us together. People going for a coffee date and friends catching up for coffee and all that. When love is new, we presume love is hot, and everybody wants to associate with it. Everybody wants to be in a love that is, is vibrant, and hot stuff are vibrant, and we don't want to take cold coffee. Nobody wants to associate with cold love. So I believe when love is still new or it's still hot, it is beautiful. So the more hotter the coffee, the more beautiful it is. So our relationships need to stay hot. We need to work hard to keep them hot, to keep them beautiful. And this comes with dedication, hard work, and always, trying to make sure that you're a good partner. And through that, so is the proverb. I'm Jacob and I'm done speaking.
Thank you. Thank you, Jacob. I love that. Coffee associated with family relationships and people getting together. And when love is new, it is hot. I love that. I love that interpretation. It's making me rethink what I had thought in mind. But I'll give my interpretations anyway. When I think of this proverb, I tend to be mindful of the time that the proverb came. And I can imagine that at this time, most of our ancestors drank, at least in Ethiopia, drank their coffee hot. And I'm sure now that the world has evolved, then there is iced coffee and so on. My idea is that coffee never changes its value, and neither does love. Now, when I look at the word hot in here, I tend to not look at it at as a value of temperature only. I tend to see it as the best and the highest quality that it's got. So when I say coffee and love taste best when it's at its best, right? And it's the highest quality. And my interpretation for this is like when you love, you've got to love wholly and to all extremes. And the heat that I interpret this proverb with is the heat of whether somebody is happy, whether somebody is sad, whether somebody shows you their best and someone shows you their worst, then you should still love, because the word hot doesn't necessarily mean that something is great, because coffee can burn you after all. And hot sometimes isn't always the best. There are people that don't like hot weather. There are people that don't drink hot coffee. There are people that prefer iced coffee. My to finish off, my interpretation for this would be when you do something and you put your heart into it, that's your coffee. Your inspiration is your coffee. So the heat here is when you're at your worst, when it's giving you your worst, you still should be inspired. Similar to love. When love's giving you your worst, sometimes you still are inspired to love because the love is an action and the action still remains the same. When you're inspired and it's giving you the best, then you still should continue to inspire and give even better. That is my interpretation for this proverb today. I am Vicky Kombe, and I would like to yield the microphone to my brother Simon.
Thank you very much, my brother Diki Kombe. I loved how you shared with us that your inspiration is your coffee. Your inspiration is your coffee, but you said so much more, and also Jacob shared with us so much more. I think we might have skipped Bib today, so we need to hear from Bib in a moment after I introduce Livia. But I want to let you all know that I am live streaming today's conversation on YouTube as well. This session is normally recorded for the African Father in America podcast. And today I was just experimenting to see how it feels like to do this on YouTube as well. So if you're there, let me know. But we do this daily African Proverbs to make our ancestors proud and to make them smile. And being here is important. That's why we've been consistent every single day since January, besides the days when we have been organizing other things and doing other things that we could not make it to do this, work here in the Daily African Proverbs. But I'm really excited to see some of the most amazing people that have been supporting this space by their presence and support. I'm so happy to see you, Roger, Sean, Raphael, Vicky, Kisiwa, Nancy. Thank you all for being here. Dr. Ismail, Enrica, Ashish, Kay. I see here we've been visited by Mama Yama. Thank you so much for being here with us, as well as Javike and Joy and Mercy. And then up on stage we have Rumi, Olami, Zizi. We are interviewing Zizi this Friday at 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for the African Wisdom Club. Every Friday we have an opportunity to just go deeper and learn about some of our connections here on Clubhouse, but also we bring guests from all across the world. We've interviewed documentary and film directors, cast members of a number of films, artists who have released albums, authors, entrepreneurs. And this Friday we are going to be focusing on Zizi and learning about her most recent book and just her story. So join us. I do see Jacob and Bib and E as well. E.T. Zaire Prince. Thank you all for being here. Now I want to introduce Livia, who is an amazing poet. Oh, by the way, before I do that, at 6:30, in 6 minutes, we are closing hand raising. So this is a perfect time for you to join us on stage so that you can share, your interpretation of today's proverb with us. If you're meeting Livia for the very first time, she's an amazing poet. She's a singer, she's a sword swallower, she's a writer based in London. And she has a presence that you'd feel like she's all over the world at the same time. But she's just so infectious with her, just her love and support and how she shows up. And I just want you to know you are appreciated, Livia. Share with us your interpretation and guide the conversation for the next minutes.
Thank you so much, Simon. Really kind words, and I'm smiling. Thank you. I feel like I have not spoken in in a few days now, and unfortunately my work schedule has been so hectic that I was in the room, but then by the time it was my turn, I had to jump out and do things in the, in a theater or wherever I was, and I missed being part a lot, and I do feel like I'm all over the world, but I'm not. It's funny because I've been traveling for the past 5 years so much, and now I'm at home and I still feel like I'm traveling. And I think Clubhouse helps having the feeling of that because you get into a room with people from all over the world, and it's kind of a extension, a extension of the actual real traveling. So our minds, or my mind, is still traveling and connected to the world in a very beautiful way. So that's good. And yeah, so how did we miss Beep? I can't believe it. I love the proverb from today, and I'm going to uh immediately give Beep the stage, and then I'm going to give my interpretation afterwards. But I wanted to read the proverb. It says, "Coffee and love taste best when hot." So Beep says, "Happiness is an inside job. Don't assign anyone else that much power over," which is a really powerful statement. And with that, Beatrice Wiley, I give the mic to you.
Thank you so much, Olivia. And thank you, Simon and Kikombe and everyone else. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. And this is one that's kind of a little bit difficult for me, I would say, or it's more confusing in a way, but I would say I would go with purpose. Life without purpose, it's blah. That's just like eating or drinking something cold that's not meant to be cold. But when you know your purpose, life is more enjoyable and your life has a meaning. And that'll be my take for today. And as for coffee, I'm not a huge fan of coffee, but coffee does taste better when it's hot, but even when it's cold, it does taste good too. I'm sorry, that's my my 2-year-old. She's trying to pour syrup on the floor, and I don't want her to, so she's screaming. But sorry about that. But yes, my interpretation is life without purpose is blah. But when you have a purpose, your life will be more enjoyable and it will have more meaning. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Beeb. I love that you compare the heat of the proverb with purpose in life. That's really beautiful. And well done for managing a 2-year, also talking to us on the app at the same time. Maybe you.
Now she's crying because I took it away. I'm sorry, y'all.
Yeah, bring her on Saturdays as well. Children are always welcome.
She's saying hello now. It's okay, Hannah. I'll bring you on Saturday, okay? Say bye.
She can say hello. She can say hello now.
Okay. Say hi. Are you gonna say it? Nope. She said no. All right. Thank you, guys.
No worries, Beep. Tell her she can think about it until Saturday. Then she has another chance. All right. I would like to move on to E.T. E.T. is owner and co-founder of Zaire Prints and Design custom apparel company based in Cincinnati, Ohio. We specialize in helping people create clothing brands, team, jersey, and various type of apparels. And we're very curious to hear your interpretation of our proverb from today. The floor is yours, E.T.
Thank you for the introduction, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody. Um,
Sorry,
I'll,
sorry to interrupt you. You are sounding very far away. If you could come a little bit closer to your mic, that would help a lot.
how about now?
That's better. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Where was I? Yes, the Proverbs. I'm not a coffee drinker, so I can't really, but I only love the smell of coffee. That's about it. But what I could, the way that I was able to understand that, it's kind of hard to break it down. It's just very self-explanatory, as Simon said earlier. It's just love when it has that sensation that gives you that warm feeling, and just everything that is good about love is best served when it's hot. It's best to enjoy it at that time. And yeah, I had a hard time really trying to look deeper than anything other than that as far as the problem. I'm done with that.
Thank you so much, Et. And yes, the warm feeling of love. I think that's a really beautiful description, and it is very self-explanatory. And for some people, coffee and love have a lot in common. For some people, don't. I mean, you know, we all have taste, but it is what it is. Thank you so much. And yeah, so I'm going to find my own interpretation for it. Coffee and love taste best when hot. So I drink iced coffee, and I drank hot coffee all my life. And in the beginning of the pandemic, I made a really beautiful iced coffee, and I loved it. And since then, I have not touched a warm coffee anymore. It's not that I hate it. I think my taste just changed, and I'm a bit of a coffee snob. So if I go to drink coffee out, it has to be made in a specific way, and I'm keen on what sort of coffee beans were used, and I I don't like just any coffee. So when I read coffee as the first word this morning, I was like, okay. But yeah, I feel even if you drink iced coffee, the coffee I like in my iced coffee has to be heated first. So I need heat to make my iced coffee. And with love, I feel sometimes it's the same. And long love relationships, maybe not everything is so hot as it was in the beginning, but you know, long lasting love and good coffee, even if it's iced coffee, is originally was created with heat. And it's if it's really good and long lasting, we can even enjoy it when cold already, because the heat was so valuable that it was made with, that the quality won't suffer once some of the heat maybe has cooled down. And I think with some things in life we can apply this to. Some things are made hot, but they're much better when they're then only warm or cold. And there is this saying, not everything is, I don't know, it's in German. I remember it from Germany, but you don't eat everything as hot as it was cooked. And I feel also that applies to patience. Not everything that comes fresh out of the oven needs to be touched. Some things we have to think about and let them sit and cool down and maybe sleep over it, and they are better or easier to handle the next day. Yeah, so these are my thoughts for the proverb today. And with that, I want to thank you all for listening. And it's lovely to be in the room every day. And I'm really grateful to be part of this team. And thank you, Simon, for opening the room. And I yield the mic back to you.
Thank you, Livia. Every time you share your interpretation, or you take your time to express an idea, it's just profound. And every line you shared with us was like a proverb of its own. I picked something here that I want to share. I just need a moment. Not everything that comes fresh off the oven needs to be touched. You know, some things you just leave them there for a while before you decide how to eat it, what to eat it with, and when to eat it. I love that a lot. And welcome everyone to the Daily African Proverbs. My name is Simon Javan Okelo. I am in Seattle, Washington, but I'm from Kisumu, Kenya originally. And I have been hosting this Daily African Proverb room here on Clubhouse and recording it for the African Father in America podcast. And as we speak, we are live streaming this conversation on YouTube. This is the first time that I'm live streaming it, but we record it every day. And the episodes from each conversation is going to be available on all podcasting platforms. So if you enjoy listening to podcasts, you can always catch previous conversations in the African Father in America podcast. Right after our conversation today, when the room ends, my brother the Kikombe, who is on stage with me, is going to go live on Instagram with me so that we can recap the conversation today. You don't want to miss that, because that's when we summarize everything that happened in this room. For example, we talk about what stood out. We talk about, what was surprising. And then we also talk about what was the biggest lesson that we learned from the conversation. So thank you again for being here with us. And the proverb that we are centering during today's conversation is coffee and love taste best when hot. This is an Ethiopian proverb, and we've had so much. At the beginning of the room, I shared what my interpretation of today's proverb is, and I thought it was very straightforward, but it's actually not, because now that we are getting more layers and more versions and more words of wisdom from everyone who is joining us for today's conversation, especially those on stage, we get to understand that, what I was thinking was just on the surface. Typically at 6:30 a.m. in the morning, we turn off hand raising. So if you are in the audience, if you come before 6:30, so 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we bring everyone on stage. We want to hear everybody's voice, and this space is open to everyone, no matter what your religious background is, no matter what the color of your skin is, no matter what your financial situation is, or which country you come from. Here in the Daily African Proverbs, our main goal is to make our ancestors smile by discussing proverbs and protecting and preserving African culture. So I want to welcome my brother Johnny to the space so that Johnny can also help us, introduce some of our amazing guests on stage. Brother Johnny, could you tap your mic if you're ready? I just want to check. Perfect. Now, Johnny has always been one of the pillars of this Daily African Proverbs from the very beginning. In January, I think Johnny joined us around February, I'm not sure, but he's been truly a brother and someone I feel like, I've connected with, and he's a man of many titles. He's a poet, he's a community leader, he's an educator as well. And he says that all these titles don't mean much to him more than happiness. Please connect with Johnny when you have a moment. Brother Johnny, share with us your interpretation and introduce our next two guests, Olami and Mama. Thank you very much.
Peace, Brother Simon. Peace to my brother Kikombe and to my sister Livia. Just thank you again for having this space and hosting this space as usual. I see a couple familiar faces in the audience as well. I see BB down there. I see my brother Roger. I see Raphael, and I see my guy Marcy in the building. And I also see the Queen K. Peace to everybody else. And shout outs to Yana, Enrique, Sam, Indy, Chuma, Ernest, and others in the room. Today is one of those days where I seen the proverb and I didn't have nothing to say. I said, I'm coming in here to learn, listen, and observe. So I look forward to hearing interpretations of the other people who's on stage, so that I can get my cup filled. I'm always hesitant to talk about love when the Proverbs deal with love. I feel like that's one area that I still have to learn in and still grow in and thrive in. So anytime the Proverbs is about love, I come in as a student. So with that, I look forward to introducing our next speaker, Olami. I haven't seen you in this space before, but I also haven't been consistent in this space over the past couple months. So if this is your first time, we welcome you to the space. But if you are returning, we welcome you to the space as well. We see you say you have a zone of genius, no barriers, journeys for the SNG as a certified accessible travel advocate on land, sea, and air. Thank you for doing the work that you're doing. I have a nephew who has special needs, and we have to make sure we are accommodating for our populations who might not have accessibility the way that we do. I see that you're a travelpreneur, and you say life is a comma, not a full stop. And I love that quote. And I'll go ahead and introduce you by saying, go ahead and give us a interpretation of the proverb. Coffee and love tastes best when hot. And I yield the microphone to you, Queen.
Thank you so much, uh, everyone, and good late Monday because everyone is international. So, coffee and love taste best when hot. Well, I was thinking if love is the cause and the effect at the same time, the taste will be basically, even if it's coming from two opposite directions, when love is the center of it, even if it starts cold and it gets hot and it becomes warm, love will be the end result. If love is the cause and effect, you know, because like you, Johnny, to say much about love, I mean, it's an endless story. So, people say they start with love and sometimes the love doesn't continue and then they reunite back with love. So I suppose it's just a matter of giving love the chance to become whatever it is. If it's cold, if it's warm, if it's hot, as long as the cause and effect is love, it will somehow work out. That's my 2 cents. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you for your interpretation. If love is the cause and effect, you don't miss out. That's what I got from your share. And, it's just one of those spaces like yourself. Like I said, anytime we talk about love, I'm always the first to just sit back and absorb, because love means different things to different people. And I think that that's one thing that we had to learn is that not everybody speak the same love languages, not everybody express love, and not everybody can receive love the same way that we do. So it's like our sister Tess say, communication isn't key, comprehension is, and love is its own language. So the next person who I have the honor of introducing is Mama Yama. Um, I see you are holista. Okay, you got it in Afro Brazil. I see you're Afro Brazilian, a holistic therapist living in Ecuador. You're a Pan Afro activist, producer and host of the intercultural program, Voices de Albano Cultural Afro al Air. I don't speak Latin, so hopefully I didn't butcher that. Every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Ecuador time on uh, radio uh, with I'm butchering that. Check out her link at the bottom every Wednesday at 10 a.m. to check in on her show. She's also the producer of Afro Fashion. Brother Simon, I don't know if you could tell, but this little extra little 30 minutes got me off. I didn't have my coffee this morning. But Mama, coffee and love taste best when hot. I look forward to hearing your interpretation of today's proverb, and I yield the microphone to you, Queen.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, um, yeah, this is true. I'm from Brazil, living here in Ecuador, and I'm very happy to join this club. Thank you very much, Simon. Thank you very much, really, I love African proverbs, and I well, I come from countries from the culture of the coffee. So we have a preparation. Our relationship with coffee is different because we sometimes um, have days to prepare the encounter with people to take coffee, to drink some coffee. So sometimes we said, "Hey, come on! In the weekend, we need to go together to take some coffee." And yes, it's a lovely moment between person. It's a special moment to know how the people are, how the things are going, and it's special for us at this moment. So I was singing the connection with the coffee and love, but is the time to preparing to drink coffee. This connection with the water, the smells, and the connection with uh, peoples, peoples that are in different moments in our life. So uh, it's coffee and love for us here is very important, and the connection with Africa is better. All these proverbs that um, full our life. So thank you very much. Thank to be here to connect with this technology and African old proverbs. Thank you very much for for the invitation. Thank you. Bless for all. Thank you. I like the power of the of the voice.
Thank you, Mama, for being in this space. And as Brother Simon alluded to, I've been coming to this space since January. I believe it was right around January 16th, if I'm not mistaken. And to see what this room has grown into, the people who have come into this room, the people who come in and bless with their interpretations, I just know that whenever my cup or my coffee cup isn't filled up, I can always receive love and coffee from you guys. So I think it's very important understanding the social aspects when it comes to coffee, but then being understanding of the cultural aspects when it comes to coffee. And I think that that's the thing that allows us to really dive in deep with these African proverbs is understanding the culture aspects. Brother Simon, I'll never forget the proverb about being mindful of starting fights in the market when you sell eggs in the market and you going into a deep dive story of your history of selling eggs in the market. It's those type of stories that bring the cultural piece to the proverbs that give them the power that they have. So I just always say it and I'll always say it again. Thank you, Brother Simon, for curating this space. Thank you for continuing to preserve the wisdom of our African ancestors. And thank you for staying faithful and committed to the cause, brother. With that, I yield the microphone back to you, King.
Wow, thank you very much, Brother Johnny, and thank you, wow, dear Mama Yama, for sharing with us amazing words of wisdom. I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful to everyone in the room who is just joining us for the Daily African Proverbs. We do this room every single day. We changed the time yesterday, so it's an hour earlier. It's happening at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it's amazing. It's amazing to see really the whole world in this room in this moment. Today we are discussing a proverb from Ethiopia, and it says, "Coffee and love taste best when hot." There are a number of people who love coming to the Daily African Proverbs room, but they are not here. Some of them are actually responding to this conversation on my Instagram post where I first shared this proverb. So if you want to see some of their comments, you can engage over there. I have also been live tweeting during the last hour of this conversation. You can find some of the comments over there. And also, this conversation has been live streaming on YouTube, so you can literally catch the whole conversation the moment this room ends on YouTube. You can just use you can type the proverb, coffee and love taste best when hot, and it will come up and you'll be able to watch it. But really, for me, this work is more important than just the single proverbs we discuss, because at the end of the day, we live nourished and we live empowered, and we live just a little more proud because we have an additional arsenal of wisdom to approach our days with. That's what is most important for me. And these days, even my daughters, they actually hold me accountable using proverbs. We talk about things and they bring up another proverb, and then life is actually interesting. I have more jokes to share with my daughters and my wife, and my friends and people that I just met recently because of Clubhouse. And for a long time, I didn't feel proud of using proverbs. I felt like I was using them in hiding. But now I feel like proverbs have become such an important part of my life, and I love it. I feel like I'm living a dream, really, because of this space that we've been building. And I do want to take this opportunity to pass the mic to the Kikombe so that he can guide the conversation for a moment. Right when this room ends, right when we hear from Victoria Ambuso, we are going to end the room, and we are going to go live on Instagram with the Kikombe, who is co-hosting the recap of the Daily African Proverbs on Instagram. It's a 15-minute conversation where we talk about what stood out during the Daily African Proverbs. We talk about what was surprising, and we also talk about what was the biggest lesson that we took away. I want to give a shout out to Jay, who is another co-creator of this space that is in the audience. Jay is in Seattle, Washington, like myself, and she's truly a talented poet, and I'm just happy that she's here with us. I also see Frida, who is an amazing artist and violin player in Brazil. So we have two people in the audience right now that are in Brazil, which is just, for me, it's fascinating. And Rafael, thank you so much for being here. Rafael is the podcast host of the White Label American podcast, and he's also a U.S. Navy veteran that has been very consistent and supporting this space every single day. We really appreciate all of you. I see Tony, Crystal, William. Thank you all for being here. The Kikombe, please introduce Sean and Ambuso for us.
Thank you, Brother Simon. I appreciate this moment. I would like to introduce Sean Anderson who's on stage right now. Sean says that your present circumstances do not determine where you can go. They merely determine where you start. It's a quote by Nido Kuben. She also says that we amplify our power when we unify our vision. And faith stabilizes everything, is a quote by Karen Curry Parker. Sean, please tell us your interpretation for today's proverb that says, coffee and love taste best when hot. Stage is yours.
Thank you, Kikombe. It's very kind of you to introduce me, especially now that I have a bio. I am enjoying this morning because one of the issues that I have, just like with Johnny, sometimes I feel like, what can I say about love? Because what do I really know about it? And listening to Mama this morning, it reminded me of a time when for about 3 years, I lived in a country and a culture that coffee was a very prevalent piece of the culture, and a lot went into it. A lot went into choosing the kind of coffee, brewing it just right, serving it just right, and then imbibing it also had a whole level of of ritual that went to it as well. And one of the things I loved the most about being in that place in that time was it always involved drinking coffee always involved other people. And it didn't matter if you knew each other or not, you were all just out there drinking coffee in the same in the same way with the same level of love. Um, so in looking at that over the last few years, I went through something in November of 2019 that really just seriously broke my heart in a way that I'm still unsure of whether or not I'll ever recover from it. And so since then, what I've been working on is learning about how to love myself, how to radically and unconditionally love myself in all places at all times. And that's been hard. That's been really hard. And this proverb today is wonderful for me because yesterday I was just kind of sitting there wondering, where do I go from here? And I don't feel anything. I don't feel passion. I don't feel anything, but I'm still here, and it's kind of a gray space, very neutral space, and a very dull kind of space. So this proverb was wonderful and reminding me that, love needs chemistry, and it needs passion, and it needs community and ritual and all the things that go into it that make it hot and wonderful and worth living. And so the question I have for myself as I walk forward into my future in this day is, what can I be doing for myself, with myself, as myself, to put that heat back into the relationship with myself? So thank you very much. I really appreciate you guys having the space here, and I yield the mic.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sean, for sharing with us. How do you radically and unconditionally love yourself? And I like the reminder that you give us that love needs a diverse number of ingredients that render it hot. And what can we do with oneself to achieve that self-awareness of love? Thank you very much for sharing with us. At this point, please allow me to introduce a Kenyan lady, Ambuso Vicky. She's a mentor. She says she's a friend. She says she's a woman of faith and sister from Kenya. She's here to listen, share, and connect with people. Ambuso is passionate about promoting communities of practice within human rights and social justice spaces in particular. She is flourishing in Christ until the moon is no more. Ambuso, please tell us your interpretation for today's proverb that says, "Coffee and love taste best when hot." Stage is yours, my Kenyan sister.
Thank you so much, Deki Kombe. Your introduction makes me feel like I can do anything. Thank you. So I feel like Sean has really said a lot of what I had in mind already. Whenever I think of, when I saw the word coffee, I'm not really a coffee person. I'm more like a tea person. And I think it's because of our Kenyan culture. We are more like tea people. But it just reminded me of the times when I go to the village and there's a permanent flask or thermos on the table, and it's always full of tea, because I come from a community, the Luyas, and we are lovers of tea. We just love tea, so we always have tea. And 5 p.m. tea is a must, because that's when everyone gathers to, talk about their day. But other than that, this proverb reminded me of a post I read yesterday. I just want to read it as it was written. I promise I won't take forever. So the author writes that we sat down with a young couple at 8 p.m. Their wedding was exactly 2 weeks away, but Keith and I were concerned that all was not well. We looked at how they sat away from each other, how they never looked at each other in the eye. No sweet nothing said, just formal wedding plans with no warm fuzzy expressions of affection. I felt their hearts were tougher than the year 2020. Finally, we just blurted it out. Are you guys really in love? There was silence. As quiet as church on Monday morning. Long story short, the wedding was cancelled. Then the author, way down in the post, she writes, so now she's advising the people who are reading, and she says, you are not a brother and a sister, you are a hot item. Remember that. Do not allow the fire of romantic love to die out. Yes, there are times it will be blazing flames of glorious kivumbi. Kivumbi is dust in English. And there are times it will be smoldering embers in conflict. Just do not let it die out. And when I saw this proverb, that actually came to mind first. And just as Sean has said, coffee and love. I'm guessing the writer of this proverb was just trying to compare, bringing them into the same plateau in terms of the sweetness that coffee brings and the sweetness that love brings to the table, whether it is in a romantic relationship or whether it is just a very passionate friendship that you have with somebody. And, when it is hot, if you've been in love before, when it is hot, it is sweet. And, the author of the other post I've read was like, you can't, you can't say that you want to marry somebody and there's really no romantic embers that are like burning there. It's gonna be difficult. And then she's like, you also need to ensure that that fire doesn't die out even when you finally, enter a place of commitment with this person. So for me, I guess this proverb just speaks to the fact that before and after you are in intentionality with somebody, ensure that the fire is there. Someone once asked me about someone I was considering, and the person was like, would you want to wake up to this face every morning? And I think that was a very interesting question I was asked. And I was like, I don't know if I would want to wake up to this face every morning. And she told me, you have to actually like the face. If you don't like the face, it's not gonna work, Vicky. And so yeah, coffee and love taste best when it's hot. And even if it gets cold, you at least will be reminded every now and then why you loved this person and what drew you to this person. It may be the physique, it may be their spirit, it may be the warmth that they bring to you in terms of their personality, in terms of their wisdom. Something has to keep that fire going. So that is Vicky, and I am done. Thank you.
Wow. Vicky, asante sana, shukran sana kwa kutupa hiyo wisdom hiyo. Asante sana. Thank you very much for giving us such in-depth wisdom. I really love the excerpt that you read. That was really powerful. I like what you said about the question that somebody asked you. Would you like to wake up to this face every morning? It's a very interesting one. And I agree with you. You really have to like the face. So thank you. Yes, you are not a brother and a sister. You are a fire item. And sometimes there will be challenging times, but don't let that fire die out. Vicky, thank you so much for sharing with us. I appreciate that. At this point, I would like to pass the microphone back to my brother Simon. But before I do that, I'm really surprised because, for a proverb that I thought was fairly straightforward, the more people share, the more I realize that there's so much depth into what our ancestors were saying. And even though some of these proverbs were given centuries or some tens of years ago, it's important to note that, goodness me, these people had a lot of wisdom in them. And thank you very much again, Brother Simon, for documenting such immense value that we have from our ancestors. Brother Simon, I'd like to pass the microphone back to you.
Thank you so much, my brother Deepening, for your leadership. And Vicky Ambuso, wow, every time you're not in this room, it's noticeable these days because you share wisdom in small bits, and it's just profound, everything you have to say. So thank you for being here, and also thank you for sharing that piece, the post with us. At this time, we are really at the tail end of our conversation. We are supposed to end this room at exactly 7 a.m. PST, but we have the amazing Chido, Samantha, and Bavarira in the room. Chido is a wonderful leader, and she's an online business strategist by day, being human on Clubhouse by night, and she believes that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Chido is going to share with us her interpretation of today's proverb, and then Frida, who just joined us on stage, is going to share with us there's a song she just dropped, and she's going to just share with us a little bit about it, hopefully play a little violin for us to end the room. But if you have time, Frida, join us for the recap of this room right after this room ends. We are going live on Instagram with the Kikombe. We'd love to have you there so that, more people can also check out your new single. Chido, I really love your new profile picture. It's truly, no joke. Share with us your interpretation. Thank you so much.
Good morning, Simon. Good morning, Likombe, Livia and Johnny. So good to see your faces. You guys, I thought we were just starting. Am I in the wrong time? Are we finishing? I thought I was on time. I'm so lost for time today. I
No,
apologize.
this is Livia speaking. Simon just starts the room an hour early from now on. And we all
Thank
didn't
you.
know. He was playing tricks on us.
Oh my goodness.
But
I'm like,
listen,
I'm
Chido,
doing this wrong.
the whole of last week, I was announcing it in the room almost every day. Actually, every day, and also in our DAP team, messaging group on Instagram. I also shared it there with everyone that we are changing the time. This is the first time we've changed the time to 6 a.m. PST. The time has always been 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And the reason is because I have 3 daughters, and since we started this room, 2 of them have been going to school, but the third one is finally joining, the little children's school. She's only 2, but I will have to take all of them out of the house around the time when DAP was typically ending, around the 8:30 window. So this works really well for me because then I'm able to know that I will have a peace of mind during the entire session of the daily African Proverbs. I can now live stream it on YouTube. We can do much more without the pressure of trying to leave my house right after the room ends. So just planning for better efficiency and excellence with the work that we do. That's really why. But hopefully we'll be able to spread the word and help people know that the new time is 6 a.m. PST.
Thank you, Simon. Apologies, this must have slipped my mind. I'm right now in Atlantic time, so I'm 4-hour difference from Pacific time, which is a huge gap. But when I get back to Mountain time, it's going to be, I guess, 7 a.m. my time now. So I'm going to be waking up early, guys, to get my cup full from the ancestors. And I came in thinking I was on time to talk about this proverb because I love coffee. Coffee and love taste best when it's hot. I could not agree more. I cannot start my day without coffee. And it reminds me of another saying that a bad day with coffee is better than a good day without it. And I think the same thing about love. I think these two things, I love how the ancestors are playing on coffee, something that we drink to wake us up. It has a huge cultural connotation for Ethiopia, where coffee is such a ritual to bring people together and congregate over coffee. in my town in Calgary, my street, we call it Little Ethiopia because we have all these Ethiopians around my apartment. So it's so amazing to see families start their day in the middle or the end. These coffee shops, the Ethiopian coffee shops, are always filled with people. And I love how significant it is for them to come together and drink coffee and a way to express their culture and love and time and their downtime to be together as a community. So when I was thinking of how we show love, and love, whether it is in the romantic sense with a partner or just showing love to your fellow man, your community, it's so important that that fire is hot and we express it. And I just love how Ethiopians have such a culture and community around coffee. That's because, and it made me think of back home because I'm missing going back home to Calgary and going back to where I stay, which we call Little Ethiopia, because I'm just surrounded by amazing, amazing coffee shops. So I cannot wait to get back home and be back in my community. So this proverb made me very sentimental for me, but I'm so sad I missed everyone's interpretation of it. So Simon, I'll be jumping on the live stream to hear what I missed. So I cannot wait to hear the recap from everyone who came up and shared on stage. So with that was my interpretation. It was very nostalgic for me, and I'm complete. Simon, to pass the mic back to you.
Thank you very much, Chido. I'm just grateful, and thank you for joining us, for the Instagram live stream that is coming up right after this conversation. And I want to pass the mic to the amazing Frida, who is a violinist. She's a musical therapist. She's a TEDx speaker. She's an entrepreneur. Frida and I first met because of the global jam session that happened here on Clubhouse, where, artists, hundreds of artists from, tens of countries gathered for over 48 hours for the last weekend of the Olympics. We were part of the Clubhouse Olympic closing ceremony. And when Frida plays, the angels smile, really. She has beautiful music. Frida, share with us just a little bit about your new single and just touch on your music a little, then we'll end the room right after that.
Hi, this is Livia speaking. I think Frida sent me a message and she said she was going to jump into the shower really quick. I thought she would be back by now, but I think she's not back yet. She's getting ready for the IG Live.
This is Simon. I think we should now set up for the IG Live and allow her to join us for that. So if you want to see Frida play, I think it would be best for you to join us for the Instagram Live. But to anyone who just joined us for the Daily African Proverbs, this has been an amazing, amazing session. Today we've been discussing an Ethiopian proverb, and this proverb says that coffee and love taste best when hot. We've learned so much, and we are going to discuss it in the live Instagram conversation, where we are going to talk about what stood out in this room today, what was surprising, and what is the biggest lesson that we learned here. So see you tomorrow.
Simon, sorry, may I interrupt you?
Yes.
Frida just messaged me and said that she's back.
Okay, wonderful. Well, Frida goes on now. Thank you so much.
Hi, Simon. Thank you so much. I feel so sorry. I was taking my shower. So I can play now, but I would like to share my feelings, my thoughts about this proverb. It's very hard to me, explain in English. But I was listening, Mama. She's a Brazilian woman, and I agree totally with her, because I think we have a culture about coffee here that I think is the same in all Occident. Coffee, it's about connecting people, especially when you don't know
who is this person. You invite this person for a cup of coffee. When you have to speak about a serious subject with someone after a misunderstood or something like that, you use also, oh, let's go and drink a coffee and we can have this conversation. So about being hot, I feel there's like a movement. For example, love and coffee. We need we don't need just love. We need to be in love. It's about a movement. It's about when it's hot. We know that just uh, he just prepared the coffee and the love for give the love. So I think the proverb is saying about being hot. It's about the feeling of the movement, the emotions. So usually in Portuguese, I don't like to say I love you, but I say in Portuguese, I'm loving you, because it's the movement of love that is, happen again and again and again and again. So I have this thoughts about this proverb, and also like this we can connecting people, we can share our emotions with people, we can apologize sometimes when we realize that we were wrong about something. And yes, and the power of the coffee, and the when you can feel the taste and the smell, the coffee, you can see the energy in the air flying like love. You can see, but you can feel, and the coffee you can feel, and it has some smell, and I think love, it has some smell too. So I think that is the reason the proverb say when it's hot, because hot, it means fire, and fire is about life. It's about being expensive. No, it's being like for I don't know the name. I don't know the name. How can I say that? Being big. Spending is spending. No, it's not spending. I forgot the wrong. How I think it's becoming bigger, bigger and bigger and bigger, like the sky, and you can just having a big thing that you can touch, but you just can't feel. And about with this, we are all connected by love and coffee, but just we are vulnerable. We have some vulnerability about this. Yes. And so that's it. Thank you. It's so hard to me explain in English, but I think
You did a fantastic job. Can you hear me, Frida? You did a wonderful job. I think I understood everything. And maybe your connection is a little rough right now.
hey, did you listen to me?
I
was talking
did.
a lot.
You did good. No. We listened to you very well. You did amazing. Yeah. So I just want to ask you that, is it okay if you reserve the music for the Instagram live so that everyone who wants to enjoy that part can join us for that segment on Instagram? Is that okay with you, Frida?
Yeah, on Instagram, yeah, it's okay. But my single is in Portuguese, but I can explain about the song and the poetry. I
Yes,
can explain
please.
about everything. Yes.
Yes, talk about it for a minute, please.
Sorry, I didn't hear well.
Please talk about the single just for a moment before we end the room.
Okay. This single, I'm not a singer, but they did a project here in my city, and I was contemplated by this project as an independent artist that doesn't have the resource to make a video clip and put my work on streamings. So they asked me, do you have a song?
And I said, I don't have a song because I'm a violinist. Usually I create improvisations on my violin. But I was lying because I had this small song that is very, very simple. The construction about the song is very simple. And I wrote this uh, 8 years ago because I had a bad relationship with a man. It was very very toxic. It was not a long relationship, but I was suffering a lot, and these words just came to me so naturally. So I wrote this, and I didn't say and I didn't sing to any person. So 8 years later, like this year, I I received this invitation, and I said, I don't know if this is okay because it's very simple. I'm not a singer. I don't have technique to sing, but I studied music. I can stay in tune. It's the maximum of my power, my voice power. And they say no, it's amazing. We like very much the melody is a simple melody, and you are playing because I play the violin at the same time that I sing. So was interesting for people that are inviting me with this project. And I said, but the lyrics is so sad. It's so sad because I'm saying that things that I don't deserve happiness, that God don't give me right to be happy. It's a thing like this. It's very very sad. And I was thinking about, oh, this is good for everybody listen. And I realized that it was in the past, and now I'm okay. 8 years ago, I'm another person. Which day we are, changing. And I said, I will write some poetry about myself now. How can I feel now? And how can I, have some self-healing about all this story that it happened to me in the past. So I wrote this poetry that I speak about being in contact with the nature, with the ocean. And you can go to the ocean and you can find your soul, you can find yourself there. So the poetry, it's about this. It's about, you don't forget that the God lives inside of you. You are the God. We are the God, because God is inside of me, is in nature, in the ocean, in the air, in the four elements. So I did this poetry uh, saying that you can overcome all of these feelings and being you in a powerful mood, because you have the nature, you have the music, you have the power of the art with you. So I couldn't make this video clip that I'm speaking this poetry. Maybe I will ask some help to translate this poetry in English, because it's in Portuguese the construction is it's a hard construction. So for translate, it's not so simple, even to me, because I don't speak English very well. And after you have a song, but it's an amazing video clip. You can check this on YouTube. You can go to my Instagram in my bio, and you click in Linktree, and you see the Zagui. The Zagui, it's a kind of, when you are crying, crying, crying a lot, and you just let the tears go away, and it's a big shower inside of you. It's the water coming inside of you and make all this thing more clean in your soul. So it's kind of this in English. And you can check this video, and you can also listen the song on Spotify. If you search with my name, Frida Maurini, you can see it's the only, I have this only single there. So that's it. I spoke a lot, sorry.
You did not speak a lot. It was beautiful. And what you are describing was healing, because healing is painful at the beginning, and then you realize that your body is recovering, your soul is recovering, and those tears turn into tears of joy from being tears of pain and suffering, And I feel that everything you just described to us is very, very powerful, especially to people of African descent globally right now. I feel like we are heading to that stage of realizing that we are feeling better and we are ready to to reclaim our place in this world, whether it's through our works of art. You find that right now the kind of songs that are being released, they're not the typical type of songs. They are songs like what you're talking about. They are powerful things with messages that are not delivered as an album. It's just a single that is profound. So thank you for all you do. And if you're in this room with us, join us for the Instagram live recap of the daily African Proverbs that's happening immediately after this room. And it's like a 10 to 15 minute live stream. Thank you again for being here with us today for another amazing session of the daily African Proverbs. We will be right here tomorrow at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow.
Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.